Biutiful was shot in Barcelona and in some neighborhoods called Santa Coloma, which is in the extra radio of Barcelona, out of Barcelona, and El Raval, which is a neighborhood. And those places is where most of the immigrant community states located. And every place that we were, every place where we shot is a real place. There were no sets. The house is a real house where somebody like my character used to live. The place where the Chinese factory happened is a real Chinese factory. And actually, some of the actors are not actors, but real people that are going through those circumstances. We are like the circus. We go there with I don't know how many trucks, and we invade their space, and everybody's attracted to it. And then the people doesn't respond to it naturally. It's very hard for you as an actor to go to a community, to go to a real place, and get a real word from these people that really live there out of their mouths, because they are so impressed by what they're saying, by what they are seeing, that they are not themselves anymore. They are affected by it. So it takes a lot of time to relax, to make them feel relaxed, and finally to be themselves. So that's what happened when you go to a real location. Everybody is shocked by the whole activity that goes on. But it's your work as an actor to really, when you have to talk to them and be part of them, to spend a lot of time for them to be more comfortable in their own skin, rather than trying to pretend to be somebody else, because they are. Sometimes they won't even talk. They were like, I did a movie with Terrence Malick now. That's a different style. We'll go to real places again, but it will be like a crew of 5, 6 people. That is helpful, because then it's less of a circus. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I took a coffee, I study, and then I should not stop non-stop for 12 hours with 1 hour of lunch break, which of course I'm studying. I mean, when you are in every frame of a movie like this one and you are dealing with such a heavy material, there's no room for fun. I mean, not even on the weekends, because Saturdays you are working and Sundays you are preparing the next week. So it was 5 months of very tiring process, but it's worth it, because you know that you are doing something that it could be meaningful to a lot of people. When you go to a set, the walls can be moved, and there are big spaces for everybody to stay on hold. My apartment, for example, was a very, very small place where the whole crew will get in there and you won't have not even room to breathe, place to have some air, which makes, if you ask me, it makes harder for the actor, because you have to concentrate in what you're doing. Everybody has to concentrate in their own discipline, but an actor has to really be. I'm always saying that the actor needs silence to work, as the DP needs lights, or as the cameraman needs film. We need silence to focus. And in a place like this, there's everything but silence. The thing that differentiates theater and movies is, like, if you play a king in theater, you have to create a kingdom. But if you play a king in movies, you have the kingdom. You have the palace. You have the place. You have the. So it's easier for you to believe it, because you don't have to struggle with imagination. It's like it's there for you to take it in. Of course, you need a place for you to be alone. Again, the silence that I was telling you before, a place where you can concentrate and work. But I didn't have time for being with the crew, for example, on the set too much, because you will jump from one scene to the other, and you have to prepare the scene, and then you have to lock yourself in order to prepare, because also the material is very intense. It's not a comedy. Comedy could be something different. Like when I did Woody Allen's movie, it was a different story. It's like it was more fun. But now, in this one, it's more about trying to comprehend all the struggle that this man is going through. Well, let me tell you, to be in that place in Biutiful where this factory where all these Chinese people are sleeping, and they were sleeping for real, not when we were shooting, but when we found the place. You get into that place and you feel something really strong on your chest, an energy of people who's been there and suffering and locked, and that becomes as real as the movie itself. It's like you feel the energy of the place, and that was one of the hardest that I've ever been in my life. That place in Biutiful. We went to places where people really need a job, and we gave jobs to a lot of people being in those places. And also the excitement of being in a movie for them, it's beyond the fun of it, is also be recognized as a community in order for the world to see, or the world or the people who see the movie, that they exist and they live in these places and they go through this kind of life. Well, you were saying, what if it's the greatest role I ever seen and it happens in the Arctic? Would I go? Yes. Of course. I mean, it will be great to know the Arctic. But you know it's going to be hard. Because when you go on vacation with friends, you go there for the fun. But when you go for a movie, you know that you're going to see. One of the greatest things in movie making is that you're going to see places that if you go by yourself, you will never be able to see. Why? Because they work with set locators, people that really know the place and take you to the more extraordinary places in the Arctic, for example. So you're going to see some very unique spots in your life, but at the same time you are working and you are not enjoying them because you use them as the background, but you are not there in order to take pictures or fun or make a bonfire and do some fish. It's like you are working in those, and then you feel like kind of a frustration.